Hey, what's up, everybody? Having a nice, easy day. Nice to see you all in the chat. Luminous Cloud, first today, besides the ever-present Thomas from 343 Labs. I see you have some questions about 343 Studio, Luminous Cloud. Shoot us an email. I think you could do hello at 343 Labs or Alex at 343 Labs. Happy to take your feedback and think about how we do things. Who else is in the chat? John H. Kingston III, hey from Rockaway Park, New York. Nice to have you back as always. Alessandro Braz, hey, what's up? Dot Initial says, that kick cuts through my iPhone speakers perfectly. Now that's a feat, to feel a kick on a phone, you know? I guess it had just the right kind of transit. Yeah, that track in the... I would say a countdown, there's no actual timer. I should make a timer. But yeah, that track's been sitting around. That version of a track that I did originally with a friend of mine has been sitting around for years. And I just was listening to it again and thinking, why didn't this come out? So I think it needs to come out. What's up, Maddie Skoll? Yes, I will. I will release it. Raza Raza? Raza Raza or Rosa Rosa? Raza Raza sounds... That was my first impression. And Simple Sam is cooking. Guess it's dinner time. Totulus, hey. Martin Moradian from Virginia. Where in Virginia are you? I was born in Washington, D.C., but I spent my formative years in Falls Church, Virginia. Up until New York took me away. All right, let's get into it. Hi. It's me. It's Saturday. It's Techno Saturday. Yes, definitely techno. You can always tell by the intro music what kind of vibe it's going to be. The track I'm working on is a little bit more rough sound. Well, it's similar. It's kind of like, this track we were just listening to while I was saying hey to everybody is a Smith & Selway track. And to be honest, I'm not exactly sure whether that one's out either. We've made a bunch of tracks in the last few years, and some of them came out and some of them didn't. And if that one has a name and is out, I haven't been DJing, so I'm just like, I can't even remember my own stuff. Anyway, welcome. Glad to be here as always. I'm feeling my caffeine kick in right now. I was sort of mellow before, and then I stopped by this place around the corner, and now it's like zip. 343 TV is brought to you by 343 Labs, where I am an instructor, as many of you know. I just finished our first techno course. We did an online sort of mini course, genre specific. We're going to be doing more of those, right? So we met 3 times a week during the afternoon, and just went over some kind of basics and ideas about making techno. And I really enjoyed it. I think we had a really good time. I heard some really cool ideas from the students as well, and I was glad to get to know those guys. And I'm looking forward to doing it again. So I'll just keep throwing this out there. Check us out. Check out the website. See what courses we have coming up, and you might think about joining one of these days. So yeah, it's it's a shorter course, so it's a little less expensive than the full ones we do, and I think you might enjoy it. I mean, Luminous Cloud, you were talking about checking in for the feedback sessions for 343 Studio, but we could do like a couple of weeks together in this techno course. So think about it. All right, enough salesmanship. Right, I'll finish up the spiel saying, if you haven't already, check out our Discord, check out our courses online, and I don't know, you've got all the info you need below in the description. I don't know. I do know. It's the coffee, I tell you. I'm like scatterbrained right now. I'm definitely going to have to shift my focus to the music and dive into that. So the track is like pretty close to done, but I'm having some second thoughts. I mean, it came together quickly. It actually came together over the course of the course, right? We came up with some different ideas during class, and one of those ideas I decided to, arrange and finish. And so that's what I have today. But, I played it for the guys yesterday in our last class, and then I listened to it again last night and this morning. I'm like, there's still, I think I'm being a perfectionist about it. I could just call it done. And one of the things that came up in the class also is like not overthinking. So I might be a victim of overthinking, but still, you should also follow your gut. And if you listen to a track and there is something that's nagging you about it that maybe you need to revisit, then do it. And I can always I don't have to kill my last version. I'm going to save it under another name, so I have both. But yeah, we're going to be kind of the arrangement is mostly fleshed out. We're looking at details now. We're looking at like little small details and little mix things and arrangement tweaks and just trying to get the last mile before I will call it a day with this track. So you will be a part of that process. Let's check in with the chat just a little bit before we dive in. Simple Sam has just heard that the NASA launch has been canceled. Yeah, I saw that earlier. I was checking on that because, I was hoping they would be doing that during the stream. And I was thinking of putting that on as my background, having the NASA live stream of the launch and everything NASA does is copyright free, so you can use whatever you want from their media. So I thought it would be fun to throw that in here, and we could watch the launch and listen to techno. But they've canceled it again. They're really having a lot of problems with this new big rocket. So I don't know. Funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking about it. Alrighty. What else is happening? More NI plugins on sale, Luminous Cloud says. Yeah, and there's a bunch of new plugins that I've been thinking about checking out. There's the new Arturia distortion effect. I mean, we like Arturia around here, so I imagine that's going to come out in a project sooner or later. There's the Phocion 2 update. Right, the 303 clone with the crazy extras. I mean, I've heard it. We listened to it in class. It sounds really. I like it better than the old Phocion. I think it's got a better tone to it. I usually use the Audio Realism baseline as my 303 plugin if I'm not using hardware. But I don't remember which NI plugins are on sale. Which are your favorite NI plugins? I haven't been using them so much lately, honestly. I mean, I use Contact in synthesis and sound design class sometimes because it's just good to know how to use like the industry standard sampler. But yeah. Luminous Cloud says it sounds like a Technasia tune. Yeah, I hear that. I think the one that the one I was just playing with that I did with Christian, there's a little bit of Technasia in there. We like them. So I'll take that as a compliment. And I see Martin's answer, you're from Richmond. Great. And you've been in Falls Church. Very nice. Okay. Couple more new names here. Funk Door's here. Wispa is here. Hey, Paul Vanderwerf, nice to have you back. Kareem is in the house. Ryan Mason says, yes, Techno Heads. Hope you are all fantastic. I'm feeling fantastic. Now let's get into some... Oh, now you're answering my questions about Native Instruments plugin. Luminous Clouds like Reactor, Massive, FM8. Actually, yeah, FM8 is my favorite. You know that. And Massive X from Simple Sam mentions Massive X. And Replica. That's another, actually, yeah, as an effect. I like Replica a lot. That's good. All right, so yeah, anyway, some of those plugins seem to be on sale. Maybe now's the time to go catch up. And enough blabbing. Let's go in and see what we have going on. All right, so we're looking at the big picture again, right? Where I've got most of an arrangement fleshed out here. And there's a lot of automation going on, but it's not way complicated. You can see there aren't a ton of layers. I like working that way. I like a lot of sound out of a few instruments rather than a ton of layers that you lose track of, or, let's have a listen and see where we're at. I'm going to crank it up here in the studio and scoot back to my listening position. It's a little, if I get a little bit further from the mic, back, I hear the bass better. And then, you know, since I'm farther away, you can see my cool Centaur t-shirt. All right. So far, so good. I'm still tweaking the automation. And I just realized one of the tracks is muted. We'll go back. We'll talk about that. Still feeling it. That wasn't a huge drop, but good enough. I don't want it to be like too obvious of it. I don't know. I want it to be smooth, this track. Like banging, but still smooth. And finally, that chord stab repeats. I have some thoughts about how this part of the arrangement is going, so I'm thinking a little more critically now. I see you guys are already giving me some suggestions. That's good. Oval Shrimp. What's up, Oval Shrimp? How about adding an auto pan, 16th gating on the ride? It could work. All right, we're in the tail end of the track now. It's all downhill from here in terms of energy. Wispa says, too much chaos. That's an interesting comment, because there's a moment there in the last minute or so where maybe it's a little much, like a little too busy, like a little, because there's like this polymetric percussion that's offbeat all the time and it's pretty harsh. And then when the chord stab is bright and repeating and the vocal little thing comes in and it's repeating, it might be a bit busy there. That's what I was thinking. So I think you're probably hearing what I'm hearing in terms of that section. And Wispa says you got to drop this in a store. You mean release it? Yeah, I can definitely release this. And Asatenko says, I like some chaos. Yes, I like chaos too, but it's got to be like chaos, the right kind of chaos at the right moment. And again, you know, this is a heavy track. It's pretty banging in terms of the energy level, right? But I want to refine it a little bit. I don't want I want to control the moments of chaos, because overall it has a smooth arc. Like it's full on energy, and you know, it builds up and breaks down. But it's not wonky or crazy or ravey, really. It's definitely like, you know, got that forward motion. So let's look at what we can do. And it's really details, again, that I'm looking into. And it's probably, I could leave it. It's not bad, right? This could be done, right? Maybe a couple of tweaks to the mix. I need to hear it on some different systems. And I'm still getting used to after all these weeks, I'm still getting used to the sound of these Yamaha monitors in the streaming studio. Once we took the amazing Barefoots out of here, everything changed, right? So I'm kind of having to relearn how to mix in here. All right. And then, yeah, what we were just saying about the chaotic part, Wispa says, yeah, that's right, where everything is chaotic would sound muddy in a void. Yeah, you're thinking like if it was a really loud system, it's going to get it could be a bit jumbled, right? So that's what I'm thinking, and I want to kind of control that a little bit. So let's go back. Here it's okay. There's no kick drum. I don't mind that the chord stab and the vocal are happening together. It's the right kind of tension. And then you get the nice contrast where the vocal goes back down and the chord is filtered in the background, and it's just more rumble and drums. And we're letting that polymetric drum loop in the middle kind of stand out. But then the vocal's coming back at the very end of this, right here. And then it drops down again. And then here's where I think this is okay. But I still wonder if I could play with the chord a little bit. This actually, that chord stab, it's not immediately recognizable, but it's a very famous old... It's that Nitro Deluxe Inner City chord stab, but it's tuned down and it's crunched up with distortion, so it doesn't... It's, you know, it may be a famous overly used chord stab, but I feel like it sounds different enough in this context. And I'm sure most of you know about this plugin, but Rave Generator is free and just so much fun to have because it has all of these classic early rave and techno sounds all collected into one plugin, and it's just, I don't know, a nostalgia trip for me, and it's very convenient, you know, fun to play with, just a nice thing to have around. But anyway, forget Rave Generator, it's just a chord stab with effects on it. All right, so in terms of the track here, so I'm either thinking of doing a little more automation of the filter here to like kind of have it moving so it's not just bright all the time, so there's some variation. Like, I like it when it's dark. I like it when it kind of feels cooler that way. And then I don't know, let's listen to it. I'm going to listen to it and think about how I'm going to do this. What I'm thinking of is kind of having it bright every couple of bars or so. And come on, get up there. This is where just having a knob would be better. You know what? Let's just cut and paste. Right, and it's sort of slowly getting brighter. Oops, I put it in the wrong spot. All right. You see what I mean? Maybe here I'll leave it down because the vocal's coming back. I feel like, yeah, it's one or the other. The vocals up front, the chord should be in the back. Another thing that's a little chaotic is the feedback on that echo. It's pretty crazy. And that's another thing I was playing with while we were listening to it. Is hey, this is supposed to be full screen. All right, so let's look at this for a little bit. This is the sound. There's this little ping, this little ba-bop, 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 right? That's actually the vocal sample. And the vocal sample's, you know, it's being filtered, and you can hear it when it's by itself. It's the voice. And I'm automating the filter frequency. I'm automating the envelope, so it's shorter and percussive or longer and sustained with more release time. And that's what's happening as it builds up and the vocal starts, the identifiable vocal starts coming in. It's just the release time getting longer and the filter going up. And right, and that's running through the delay. And I have the feedback automating, which gets pretty intense. So what I think I want to do is control that so I can have more or less of it. So it can be drier sometimes and then more wet sometimes. Like here, when it's building up, it's okay to have the feedback kind of taking over. It's getting really intense. That's probably a little too much, but you hear it's like really, whoa. And then I can pull it back, right? So I need to hear that in the context of the mix. I've got a multi-band compressor on there. This is just sort of controlling the ringing of that. I might want to EQ this as well. And this is kind of another tricky thing to think about. Like, I'm automating the dry wet, but I also could, to more precisely control it, have it all the way wet all the time and then make a rack where I can process the echo separately from the dry signal. But let's keep it here for now before I overcomplicate things. All right. And I need to adjust this while I'm hearing the whole mix so I know whether that delay is too loud. It's already pretty loud, so I'm definitely going to need to dial it back. You can hear it getting noisier and noisier, right? Pretty intense in here. And I don't mind it being a little bit loud here. I might want to thin out the percussion more too. And this is also the end of the track. Whoa. I could also reduce the amount of feedback a little bit. Maybe that would be good, because it's getting up there. Like here, it's about 83%. I'm going to dial that back a little bit, so maybe it'll die away sooner. All right, let's start it from here, from the first sort of break. the level of the delay down definitely helps, because it was a bit too like sticking in your ears. Now, another thing, one of the things that's making it really chaotic is that big, the polymetric drum loop. This is really noisy. So this is another thing that I was working on, you know, and I'm kind of, this is sort of cheating, just like throwing a multi-band compressor on something. But it's easy because, you know, this is a complex sound that's getting brighter and darker and brighter and darker, and it's moving around. It's hard to EQ that in a way sometimes. So, you know, I mean, let's hear what it sounds like without it. It's going to be a little punchier probably. And the sample itself is pretty processed, so it's not super bright transients, you know? Yeah, it's definitely punchier without the multiband. And there's this one really sharp resonance in there. Another thing might be just bringing it down in the mix a little bit. I mean, it sounds way more open without it. It probably works without it too, because there's so much energy from all the other sounds. That also works. Maybe it was just too loud. I like the variation of it in there. That's too much. Whisper says that explains the chaos. That is the noisy thing, right? Yeah, I think we solved the problem here. Just, it was too loud. It was kind of covering up too much stuff. I want a little more echo on this part earlier. I think a little bit. Yeah, I like the doubling. You know, when the delay is kind of echoing almost at the same level of the vocal. But with less feedback, so it doesn't get too intense. Now, Kareem is asking, what's with that other muted track you got there? Yeah, we're coming to that. That's for the second half of the show. All right, so I brought the level of the delay up, and I'm gonna maybe bring the feedback down a little bit. So it doesn't go overboard. All right, I'm also thinking about all right, whoa, that went down too much. Let's hear that again. Better. Angelo is asking the BPM. No, it's 136. 133.33 is a really great tempo, though. That's the tempo you can cut a continuous lot groove on vinyl. All right. I'm happy where this mix is going. The balance is better. That drum loop was just too loud. I might go back and EQ it a little bit more, just kind of shine it up a little bit, but even just turning it down was good. The end is just sort of, fading away now. I could add a little, maybe another chord stab in here, just to have something else going on at the tail of the track. Yes, I love making records with lock grooves. Angelo, nice that you're onto that. All right. So, coming back down to earth for a minute. I'll just talk over the ends and right, so that's sort of where I'm at with this. It's mostly done. I'm trying to sort of perfect it. Rein in the things that need to be reined in, and along the way maybe get some new ideas. I'm still not 100. I'm still like 90% on this. It's not, it could be done. Wispa, I think earlier said sounds ready to print, and it could be, right? But I feel like, a little bit more chiseling away at this, a little bit more polishing. We'll sculpt the arrangement just slightly and then balance the mix, and it's pretty much there. Now, I see. I missed your first comment, Angelo. Let's talk a little bit about lock grooves. Show us how to make lock grooves. And Serotonin Records, the electro and kind of weird music label that my friend BPMF and I have done since the 90s, on and off. We've been quiet the last couple of years. Speaking of Serotonin, actually, we do have a release plan that I'm pretty psyched about, actually. It's a track of mine from the 90s called Millennium Sound. I got remixes from Radioactive Man and Sync 24 and Transparent Sound. And then I did a new version. So that's hopefully early next year going to be on vinyl, probably vinyl exclusive, at least at first. And yeah, that I'm happy to sort of finally do another Serotonin record. There will be a lock groove on it. Speaking of lock grooves, I don't know if making lock grooves, it could be, we could do a whole show on that, or it doesn't take much. I can tell you right now that any loop that works within one bar at 4/4 at 133.33 beats per minute will loop exactly, right? So the cutting engineer, you record 30 seconds or up to a minute of that loop that does not change, right? Otherwise, you don't know what you're going to get if there's anything changing over time. Usually that's what I'll do. I'll edit a groove down to just one bar, find that one part that I like that sounds good just looping exactly for a bar at 133.33, and then I'll record that or print that for 30 seconds to a minute. That's what the vinyl cutting engineer gets, and then they're able to they have to time putting the cutter down. The cutting head has to go down at the very first beat and up again at the end of the bar, and try not to have too much overlap of the groove. So, because the more it overlaps, when the groove overlaps, it kind of makes a noise. It can click or crunch or scrape. And so that's the art, is on the, all you have to do is make it exactly the right BPM. It's the vinyl cutting engineer that has the hard job of making it loop perfectly when they cut the record. So, but yeah, what would be good? I've been trying to get my friend Tim Xavier on the show for ages. We're going to try again, to have him. I'm going to ask him again to see if he could come on before the end of the year. I would love to have him demonstrate cutting vinyl. For one, just seeing that up close, that would be great. And then two, maybe he can show us how he cuts a lock groove, right? So it's ambitious, but I'm hoping that we can set it up. So glad we got to talk about that for a little bit. Simple Sam is asking, so they have to do that manually. Depends on the lathe. There are computer-controlled lathes. The old school way to do it was manually. You literally have to do, it's not like bringing a tone arm down. It's more involved in that. And it might be like buttons controlling a mechanism, but you literally used to have to do it manually. And then actually doing it manually might be good, because if you get a feel for the machine and what to time it just exactly right. But then there's a room for user error. digitally controlled, computer-controlled lathes, you can probably program it and to do it more precisely, yeah. So that is also possible. It just depends on what kind of lathe you have. And I know Martin is asking why 133.33 beats per minute. That's mathematically what works. You know, it's 33 and a third RPM. That's for a 33 and a third RPM record. And I'm not going to try to do the math right now, but if you do the math, 1 bar of 4/4 is a certain number of seconds, right? And so at 133.33 beats per minute, that's how long it takes the record to go around once. You can do other tempos, other time signatures at the other tempos, but the important part is that it's the time it takes for the record to go around once. All right. Yeah, I don't want to mess up the math. My brain is in another place. It's not that hard. It's just that I'm not good at thinking that way while I'm live streaming. And yeah, Kareem says, Man-Made Mastering, Tim Xavier from Man-Made Mastering. Definitely want to have him on the show again. He's been on just to hang out and chat, but I want to see him do his thing because he's really good at it. Alrighty. What else is going on here in the chat before we go back? Thank you, Angelo, that you like the track. Track is banging. I agree, if I do say so myself. But yeah, I have a less banging, maybe, variation on it. So we were talking before about which track is muted, right? So when I started this, I had another, it was deeper, right? It got more intense as I went along. And I decided, all right, it's kind of, I felt like the parts were fighting each other a little bit. So let's go back and, oops, sorry. I hit the be right back by accident. All right, so I have, in addition to the more strong chord stab, that old school chord stab sample that I'm using, there is another kind of more smooth atmospheric chord. And this changes the vibe a lot. And I originally had it in there all together with all the other parts, and it was just like too much. I felt like it was too much. So the idea now is to do another version of this. Actually, you know what? Let's save, right? I'm before I mess this up anymore, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to save it as is. All right. And then I'm going to save as again. And deeper. All right. So I'm just calling it that this is going to be the deeper version of the track. And I do this a lot. When I do this with Christian, I do it on my own. I'll make a track and then I'll kind of remix it or do another version of that track or use that track as the basis for another track. It's just to keep the momentum going. It's kind of like, and this is another thing we talked about in class, it's sort of like remixing yourself. Like you make a track, you finish it, and then you walk away from it, and then pretend it's someone else's track, and I'm going to remix this track, and then it sort of frees you up to do something different with it. So that's sort of the idea, is like now I'm going to take elements of this and try to start shaping it into something different. And already just the vibe of this loop that I'm not using in the first version is going to be like what to base. Now I need to make everything fit with this. And even just like losing the vocal sample would probably make a big difference already. And if I keep all the drums as is and not change it a lot, I would call this like a remix. Or like another dub version or something like that. Speaking of dub, probably like taking this and putting lots of delay on it and having it be a little deeper sounding would probably work. I'm just muting the little short shakers. Actually, where's that 909 stuff? there's so much energy in those fast 909 hi-hats. Maybe I take those out and leave the short shakers. Keep it more minimal, a little lower energy. And probably I'm not gonna do those single chord stabs by themselves like that. I might rethink how this whole chord stab, the big chord stab, is processed and make it darker the whole time, more continuous. I'm gonna leave that hi-hat in there. What else can we do to change the vibe of this? This one has some heavier drums in it. I miss the ride cymbals, to be honest. This part is good. There needs to be more like this. Because it's like fluff that when the more mellow, it's not mellow anymore. Like that other chord layer that's just kind of floating up there. When it gets bright, it's really nice. All right, let's back this up. There's a lot of bass in that. All right, I want to hear this for a second. I want to have this be moving and floating a little bit more. Like I have just this low pass filter and it gets brighter over time, but what if we do some modulation? Yeah. Dub it out. That's dark. Playing with delays a little bit. I just wanted it to be more present and not, I wanted to, getting that dubby kind of floatiness. Too loud now. I'm gonna have to figure out how to balance this in the mix. Sounds good when it's dark, but now it's too loud. Maybe just turn it down. Yeah, it's clipping. I have it going into a saturator, which is too much. I might just lose that. All right. I was thinking about, there's some parts where the closed hi-hat are eighth notes. It's so the energy's there, but tempered, like it's not quite as busy. What if we do that? All right, I might turn them down a little bit too. Another thing, I can keep the energy, but make it a little darker and warmer by bringing the level of some of the high frequency stuff down. I could even just if I ditch that polymetric loop, it's so noisy. It's sort of missing a little energy now. Maybe I can think about how to mix it or process it so to keep the musical variation of that polymetric rhythm, but without it overtaking everything. Again, it might just be turning it down. Definitely have to play with how the heavier chord is being modulated. Adding too much delay to it makes it really dreamy. Still need to go in and fix some of these hi-hats. I should just copy and paste rather than going through all these clips and muting stuff, but no rush. I can listen to it while I do this. What if we even use fewer rides? I'm not sure. I feel like now that I've made all these changes, some parts of the arrangement don't work as well. So I have to go back and figure out what I need to change, what I need to do to make it work better. What's up, James Freer? DJ Emo has a good comment. Filter down the perks as it comes up. Yeah? That will make some space in the break, right? That could work. Not sure about that drop right there. It needs to change. Maybe that's not where to put the ride anymore. All right. I need to reset my brain. But you see how this happens, right? Like I'm taking that element that I didn't use, and then I'm using it, and then I'm trying to change everything else to fit with that one element. And in a way, it's making another version or a remix of the first one. And how are we doing for time? It's 1:51. Pretty good. I feel like we made some good progress here. I've got like two tracks now. This one needs some more work than the other one, right? But I've got 2 tracks for a release potentially, and they're complementary. And I'm trying to think, like, should I work more towards making this a different track entirely and like really radically change it more, to change the structure of it, and add new elements even? Or should I just keep them a similar structure and have them be two alternate versions, like a deep version and a harder version? All right, it's just something to think about. Let's listen to this again from the beginning, right? I'm trying to kind of reset my mind and think about, I'm going to listen for what needs to change in this. Whether we get to all of it before the end of the show remains to be seen, but let's just have a listen. Here's a quick thing I can do. I have the bass of the kick drum filtered out in the beginning. I'm not going to do that in this version. I'm just going to have it start with the bass. And then what else can I take away? That rolling, the rumbly kick is a lot of energy. That's another thing I need to think about. Maybe I need something entirely different for the bass. That's really going to start making it another track. Keeping this in there is leaning it towards being a remix because it's the same feel. I don't know, I kind of like it. Might just keep it. I could try changing the sound, changing the shape of it, EQing it differently. Right, it has this erosion on it that's adding this kind of crunch to it. But if I take it off, it sounds darker and then cleaner. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, this part seems like it's too dark, right? Needs more here. All right, I know that I have to work on this section from like 33 to 65. Either make it maybe shorter or bring elements up sooner, because this part's great. All right, Simple Sam. Change the beat or throw in a break beat? Really? That would do a lot, though. It would make a totally different vibe. I like it here. Could add another musical element to this. Could add another synth. Could be a lead melody on top to brighten it up. There's so many different directions it could go. Yeah, all of the good stuff is here, right? This is where the action is, in the middle. I also like it again when the filter gets higher and thinner on the smoother chords. Here maybe the filter's too low. That can stay longer. All right, I'm having some ideas. I'm not going to fix all of this today, right? We're almost at the end of the show. But the whole point has been listening through it and thinking about what to do next. And I'm coming to some conclusions. Let me just jump back to the beginning again. I'm going to let that come in later. I'm definitely going to bring the filter up on the rave generator stab. It's so not ravey sounding right now. Could already start moving the filter on that guy. Yeah, definitely interesting with the dubby chords. Louder, brighter. I like the fading in of the polyrhythmic thing, polymetric thing. It sounds better when it's thinner. So that's, I think what I'm going to do for this guy is not have it have too much low end. We'll keep it thin. That's helping a lot. All right, and then, okay, this has to get brighter here. Yeah, that's taking up so much of the energy. And I think this should stay up. Is that the right? That's the wrong one. This one. Big difference in energy with this is brighter. Right, that needs to be brighter in there. Actually, I'm going to go back a little bit. All right, we're almost out of time. It's 1:59. This is going to be it. Let's just hear this last transition and then we'll call it a day. I'm happy with that. And this, from here on, is the part where it's working. Man, I'm into it now. I don't even want to stop, but I have to stop. I'm sorry. It's the end of the hour. I've got to move on with the day. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with me. I feel like this was productive. I mean, all right, I did most of the work before the show. But in terms of just getting into the last mile of the track and then also, you know, taking an element of something that you've done and then using that as a starting point, elements of that as a starting point for a new version or a remix or a new track entirely, depending on how far you go with it. That's what we did today. Mission accomplished. Thanks again. This was a lot of fun. Let me just remind you about checking out 343 Labs. Look at our website. Join our Discord. See what we're up to. And I'll be back here again next week. Check out Tetro. Is Tetro happening on Tuesday? I'm not sure. Actually, no. Tetro's traveling. Tetro's in South Korea. So probably not a stream from him this time, but definitely Abe on Friday, and then Techno Saturday again. Actually, up in the air whether next Saturday's Electro or Techno, so we'll see. And I don't know. Great to see you all in the chat. Nice hangout today. Until next time, adios.